Apart from the lashings of booze, love, attention to detail, but mainly booze that goes into making a great dessert, you need sugar. And it took the dedication of one man to bring sugar to the dining tables of the masses. In the early 19th century, the sugar industry was hitting boom time. Ports like Bristol were reaping the rewards, and yet for many, sugar remained an expensive luxury, tantalisingly out of reach of the ordinary working family.
Sugar was such a highly prized commodity before 1874 that it was referred to widely as white gold. At times, it even commanded the same price as gold. Sugar was very expensive because it was taxed really heavily. The government knew that people wanted it. It was highly in demand. In fact, in 1815 alone, government revenue was £3 million. Profits from sugar were actually responsible for the flourishing of many of the UK's cities, and Bristol is a case in point. Money from the sugar industry came pouring in. Merchants built these amazing houses, factories, sugar refineries. In many ways, you can actually say that Bristol is a city built on sugar.
Bristol's newfound wealth was reliant on the toil of the working classes, who laboured in these sugar refineries and warehouses. But because of the hefty tax on sugar, these were the very people who couldn't afford to buy it. When working families did get hold of sugar, they often had to settle for a far inferior product. The most infamous case of adulterated sugar was the Bradford sweet poisoning of 1858, which involved a local sweet seller called William Hardacre, or Humbug Billy as he became known. The supplier he used for his sugar was notorious for adulterating it with a cheap substance called daft, an unpleasant mix of chalk and limestone.
One day, the supplier muddled up the jar of daft with a jar of arsenic, and so when William made his humbugs, each humbug contained 9 grains of arsenic, which is twice the amount you need to kill a man. And of course, people died. 200 were poisoned. And this was a massive scandal, a huge outcry, and the beginning of a demand that they had to change. They had to make sugar cheaper. They had to abolish the sugar tax.
Prime Minister William Gladstone was the man who started to make things better for the sweet-toothed working classes. He felt that taxing foodstuffs vital to their staple diet was unfair and set about pushing through a series of reforms.
William Gladstone was an economic liberal. He believed that the complicated system of tariffs, of duties, of customs actually held the economy back, that a true, free, growing economy could only be created by abolishing all of these. And he particularly wanted to abolish the tax on sugar. He also perhaps wanted to do this because he himself loved sugary desserts. His family teased him about his pleasingly childish greed for sugary sweet treats. In 1874, Gladstone succeeded. The sugar tax was lifted, and all of a sudden, cheap, good sugar was put in the reach of the working classes, and desserts were changed forever.
As sugar finally became cheaper, all manner of previously unattainable sweet desserts took pride of place on the dining room tables of working families, whilst the upper classes began to focus on more refined uses of sugar, such as spun sugar and sugar craft. The fact that today people from all walks of life can now enjoy desserts that are safe, affordable and delicious is thanks largely to the pioneering reforms of one man, William Gladstone.